is Proper Perspective. Coming to you live. It's going on 11 o'clock here in Ghana. So that's probably about going on 7 o'clock back in the States, at least on the East Coast. So I was watching this video and I just felt like, well, let me drop my 2 cents in on it. Now, yeah, it's a whole lot of conversation going on about black people protesting or not protesting, black people participating or not participating in the protests to defend different communities, to defend immigrant populations and other groups, Puerto Ricans, Hispanics, Latinx, African immigrants. It's a big issue. It's a hot topic issue. It's a hot button issue, and people are, weighing in with all of their opinions. Now, I'm not the one to say everybody is wrong or at least I'm not the one that said black people are wrong when there's obviously a growing sentiment among black Americans that we tired of fighting. We gonna sit this round out, and that's like for the most part, I agree with that sentiment. That's very real, and I don't necessarily have a problem with withdrawing from the public forefront, withdrawing from the forefront, getting out off of, like, even if you're not going to get off the battlefield, there's nothing wrong with black people taking the second round of the battlefield. So in that regard, I'm like, yeah, I feel you. I understand why there's so many black people are like, this ain't our fight. And that's not really, I don't really have an issue with that. What I have an issue with is perhaps the reasons that are being shared as to why that's not our fight. So, if you say it's not our fight because they're literally not coming for us right now, okay, I might agree with you. If you say it's not our fight because none of the other groups that we helped stood with us when we asked for help. Well, while I don't think that is absolutely 100% accurate, I do recognize that there is some truth in it. There are people within groups that have been anti-black. There's a large contingency of Asian Americans who utilized the platforms that black Americans fought for to gain their financial and economic foothold in the U.S. And as soon as they felt comfortable, they wanted to brush everything non-white off their shoulders so that they could further integrate with the white power system. And they started taking pot shots. So I get it when we as black people say, that's why we're not fighting for y'all. Now, that doesn't mean to say all Asian Americans are on that sellout vibe. That doesn't mean to say all Asian Americans took up that forget the blacks, forget the black people school of thought. But enough of them did where it is an issue. But we can't act as though there were no Asian Americans standing with us during the last Trump administration, during the George Floyd policing I Can't Breathe, Black Lives Matter protests. There were Asian Americans with us. There were Palestinian Americans with us. There were Hispanics, Latinx people with us. So to try and cast the net so wide as to say, we gonna sit everything out because a certain percentage didn't stand with us. I got a bit of a problem with that, but it's a bit of a problem. It's not a major problem because, again, like I said, if 92% of black people voted against Project 2025 and Trump and all his tentacles, then we showed up when we were supposed to, and we did the bulk of that work. And no other group came out in that number, with that record-setting number of voting against Project 2025. Because everything that's going on now, all the deportations, all the ICE raids, all of this is a direct result of Project 2025, and it wasn't a secret. They made it all clear that this is what they were going to do. There have been no secrets that have transpired. There's been no shock. There's been no surprises. You know, they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. 92% of black people voted against this. Now, the Hispanic community, y'all in the 40s and 50s is voting for it. So y'all really have, y'all got a whole lot more talking to do with your own folk than trying to drag us onto the front line. We might still stand and support you. You know, if I'm walking down the street and I see ICE trucks coming, I might holler. I might holler to like the little group of Hispanics that I see, you know, standing there working, waiting for these jobs that everybody said that they waiting for. So that's support. Now, I'm not gonna put my life on the line. I'm not jumping in front of the ICE trucks. So, you know, there's stuff to be said. There's ways to work, there's ways to show support, and there's ways not to show support. But really, what really sparked me going live with this is not even that element of do you support it or do you not support. What really irritates me, bothers me, concerns me is this group of black people who are saying things like, we can't be deported because we were here first. We can't be deported because we are Americans. Now, like I said, if you don't want to join in the fight against the ICE raids, if you want to stand on this side and either close your eyes, even if you want to join along and snicker and laugh and say, yeah, give it to them. Okay, that's your right. That's your right. Stand on that stupidity, stand on that hypocrisy, stand on that ignorance. You have every right to do that. But if you think that because you have the magical papers of a birth certificate and a social security card to show and prove that you truly and honestly were born in these contiguous 48 plus the 2 that they don't like to claim, unless there's a military campaign about to shoot off Hawaii and Alaska, if you didn't catch the drift, then one, you're not even paying attention to the news because they've already deported some black Americans, authentically black Americans. They've already detained and deported FBA, foundational black Americans. If you're so stuck in this world where you need to delineate, there have already been cases where a bona fide black American whose whole family tree extends literally within the confines of Uncle Sam's dominion. They don't have any immigrants. They don't have any black immigrants, no brown immigrants. They're literally FBA. And they still got them ice hands put on them. They still got thrown into a detention center. They still got thrown onto an airplane. They still got airlifted back into a country they ain't never known of. And just because CNN is not doing the rounds of beating you in the head with the information, you don't know it. Let me pause for a second. Shout out to Ella Fremps. Ella Fremps 2 *9 says, hi, greetings from Ghana. Where are you from in Africa? That's a good question. If you are tuning in, I see I do got 4 people listening or watching or whatever you would call it. Please hit the like button. Since you're sitting here watching and you're Ella Fremps, hit the like button, please. But I am literally in Ghana right now. I'm in Ghana, coming to you live from Accra, somewhere in Accra or greater Accra. So thanks for that. Peace to Ella Fremps. But let me get back to what I'm saying. So there are already incidents of foundational black Americans being deported. So to think that this fight that is being taken, being had, this fight that is underway, has nothing to do with us. Like I said, you want to stay out of it, stay out of it. But at least stay out of it and stand on your abstinence from the fight with correct knowledge, with a proper perspective on what can and can't happen. Like I said, to think that they're not gonna come for us, that's just stupid. That's just plainly stupid. It's stupid because it denies the facts of our history for the over 400 years we've been here under the transatlantic slave system. Now, okay, if you are one of the individuals and you want to support the idea, which I do not, but I understand plenty of people do, if you support the idea that we're the original Native Americans, okay, as ludicrous as I think that position is, let's put my skepticism to the side. So let's say you're right. You are the original Native Americans. So because you're the original Native Americans, you're saying you can't be gotten rid of. Well, the so-called red man, and I know you're gonna say, they ain't the real ones, they the $5 ones. Look, the so-called red man was gotten rid of. The so-called red man was decimated. And I ain't talking about the paper genocide. I mean, literally, they wiped out the red. So, and what I mean is, okay, even if you think that you are connected to the original Native Americans, and you don't believe in the $5 Indian thing, okay, I get it. That's definitely a part of what happened. But that doesn't mean that every Native American tribe were associated with what looks like black people. There literally were some historical discoveries to show and prove that there are some Native American tribes that may have looked like what's typically thought of as a black American. Okay, so let's say that's real. But it is also equally real and valid that there still are, Native American tribes that fit the so-called red man description. They are just as real as the so-called black Native Americans. So if they can decimate the red ones, if they can genocide the red ones, and they can decimate the black ones, either on paper or some other means, why is it that you think just because you have a modern social security card and a birth certificate, they can't pick you up and send you somewhere? I mean, it's the same thing as when black people say, well, the police can't do that. But you know, black people are always yelling about what the police can't do while the police are doing it. You know, they're pulling you out your car. You can't do this. And down to the ground you go. They begin to kick you. You can't do this. And the kicks proceed and continue. So if you're going to say what they can and can't do, at least recognize that while you're saying it, they will be doing it. They will still be doing it. Just like all the police that continue brutalizing black people while being yelled at from the sidelines, while being recorded on phones, while being told this is against the rules, and they continue doing it. What if they can continue to brutalize us even though it's against the rules, even though when it goes to court they lose, and cities and counties and localities end up shoveling out millions of dollars for each incident, and they continue doing it? Why is it that on this issue you can recognize and realize all of that, but then on this issue of deportation, oh, but they can't make us leave. They can't take us out of here. They can unalive you with almost no punishments whatsoever, but you don't think they can put you on a plane? and you don't think they can put you on a plane simply because you was born here. Like, history makes no sense to you? Are you that absolutely devoid of knowledge of our history? That's my problem. That's my problem. So I still see, okay, it's 15 minutes in. I got 2 people still listening. Like I said, if you want to join in, say something in the chat. I'm going to back off. I'm going to slow down. Really, I want to see people. I hope that if you're watching this video, whether live or sometime thereafter, I really want to see the comment section blow up to some extent. I want to know, how is it that I'm missing the logic? Explain to me how I'm missing this logic of they can't deport us. Like, what memo did I not get? I mean, the long history of Dred Scott, and I'm not even a person that likes to support the idea of remember the Dred Scott case, and only because I remember the Dred Scott case, I was taught about it, I learned it, I studied it. Now, in effect, even though the Dred Scott case is real, in effect, they did subsequently overturn it. But therein lies the problem. They can make a law, they can change a law, they can change it again. So for you to think they can't deport us because we got our papers. Do you know how many enslaved Africans, our forefathers, our foremothers, had freedom papers? And would flash their freedom papers in front of the bounty hunters and the slave raiders? You can't take me back, I got my freedom. Pew! Right back into a slave state they went. So if we have a 400 history of being denied rights, if we have a 400 history of being denied laws, if we have a 400 plus history of affirming our humanity only to have it denied, how are you ignoring all of this by simply saying, ha ha, they've taken away the Spanish people, they can't do that to us? What kind of dope are you smoking? But let me calm down. I'm chilling over here in Ghana, and I'm really trying to just be over here for the time being to relax. And I had initially questioned whether or not I would even go live, or at least go live and talk about the politics. If you're familiar with my channel, then you might know the proper perspective, at the proper perspective. You always got to have an ad on there if you're really trying to find me. But the proper perspective is almost laser sharp focused on politics, history, culture, sociology of black people, of black Americans, but black people globally. So I had said but I was like, I wanted a break, so I was gonna chill on all of that. So what I had been doing is just simply sharing a few cultural things, having a good time in Ghana, eating the food, enjoying the culture. But some stuff just begs for attention. Some stuff just begs for attention. And so that's why I was like, okay, I gotta say something. But like I said, I appreciate anybody for tuning in. I got 2 people here. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. Share this podcast, share this stream, share this video. Leave a comment in the sections. Where are you guys listening from? I know I got 1 person listening from Ghana. If you're listening from somewhere else, let me know in the comments. And if you wanted to say something, I might stick around a little bit longer. But it's a nice, cool, breezy day. It's Sunday, and so I'm like, I'm gonna have to get out of here and go do something to enjoy this weather, this climate. So like I said, can black people be deported? Absolutely they can. They can be deported. We can be deported. They've already deported some of us. So sitting back, standing on the sidelines, I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I get it. I understand why so many of us do want to stand down. We are burnt out, but we have to at least sleep with one eye open, because the reality is they already have on paper the loopholes they need to deport us, to detain us. Like, so let's not act like if you weren't aware of it before the documentary came out, then don't act as though that documentary, the 13th or the 13th Amendment, don't act as though you haven't been made aware. Don't act as though you are so caught up in some kind of love for Uncle Sam that you think expressing your love for Uncle Sam is going to protect you. Hell, all the Hispanics that said, I will vote for Donald Trump, they finding out right now. They're deporting the Hispanics that led the charge for Hispanics to vote for Donald Trump. So you think you're that different? Because you got a birth certificate from the States. You think you're that different because you got a Social Security card from the States? Really? I just hate black ignorance. And I'm like, before I leave out of here, I'll close with an artist who I used to like and respect, Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian. He said, Lord Jamar makes a difference. I have no tolerance for black ignorance. Now, back then, those were dope lines from a dope artist. There's still dope lines from what used to be a dope artist. I think he's lost his mind. I think he's swallowed the Jim Jones Kool-Aid of COINTELPRO separatism. But it was a dope line. And I think it's partly why I do whatever this is that I do on my channel. I try to break stuff down and analyze it so that people can see there's something fishy going on. So this idea that we can't be deported because we were born here, half the Hispanics that they're getting rid of was born here. Okay, maybe not half, but there are Hispanics that they're getting rid of that were born here. They have Hispanics who not only were they born here, they participated, they joined the military, they fought for this country, and they still getting deported. So just the idea of principle that ownership of an American stamped birth certificate means you can't get deported. Hell, Trump didn't even believe Obama. And Obama had one. Not that he got deported, but who you gonna flash your paperwork to when them ICE raids decide to come for you? Because they don't stop. They don't stop to listen. Once they've been given the order to go, they just go get somebody. They don't ask questions. They're not asking questions. Is this the right person? They don't turn around and say, hey, he got papers. No, they said, don't get that one, bang. They grab and toss. Shout out to the person named American. I don't know what to say about your screen name. I don't know what to say about your screen name. But shout out to you for joining. If you want to chime in on this subject, then say something so I can read it on the screen or whatever. But peace to you, since you did say hi. I got 2 people that hit the like button, so I do appreciate that. I got 4 people watching, so I would like 2 more people to hit the like button. But like I said, I just don't understand why you think you can stand on a defense that has never worked. Historically speaking, saying you as the police, you as the authority, historically speaking, saying you can't do that has never gotten anybody out of hot water. It's never gotten anybody out of hot water. Whether you look within racial lenses and incidents, or you look outside of racial lenses and incidents. When white people do stuff and white police show up to arrest those white culprits saying, you can't do that, they still get thrown in jail. So if it's not a defense for white people who have all of the protections and privileges of the system, how is it a protection for anybody else who is determinedly not privileged to those protections? But like I said, that's my piece, that's my 2 cents, that's my proper perspective. If you're gonna stand out from, if you're gonna abstain from the protests, more power to you. I ain't mad at you for that. But at least stay out of the protests for good, logical reasons. Don't stay out of the protests because you think you are so well protected and insulated that it could never happen to you. That's just flat out dumb. That's just plain stupid. I'm sorry to say it that way. I don't have any nice words for it. I don't have any politically correct terminologies about it. The simple notion that you're born here gives you protection from racist Ku Klux Klan type assault boys. Well, then who you gonna call when they do come for you? You are legitimately, like I said, I'm not saying that you got to join the fight, but you do realize you are legitimately watching them get rid of people who might have your back. Again, I know that there are full-on, hardcore examples of people within these other ethnicities and culture groups that disrespect black people and that sell us out. And I'm not excusing them at all. All I'm saying is, just like in the 60s, yes, the vast majority of white folk was against black people, but there was a percentage of white folk that helped us push the envelope and get the laws that we enjoy today set up. You can't sacrifice those who are willing to help just because there are others who aren't. And how you play unity, how you play politics, yeah, that's a conversation that really needs to be had in the public. It needs to be had by a lot of people. But simple withdrawal, simple abstinence is not necessary. That's not the right tool. The right tool is to be politically aware, politically astute enough to know who to connect with, who to link up with, who to help, who to support, so that you don't end up, falling for the okie doke and helping people that wouldn't help you. But you don't want to forget about the people who would help you. So we have to be politically astute enough to have built our own coalitions and support those coalitions. But like I said, this is Shabazz with the proper perspective. Tune in for the next one. I will be going live, so hit the like button, hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel. I will be doing more lives. I hope that I'll be doing more. I'm having fun. Look at this food I'm eating. But I suspect my timeline will hit me with 1 or 2 more extremely irritating, they not like us, stupid incidents, and I'll probably jump online and speak on those too. But peace.